Bharat Bond ETF by Edelweiss Mutual Fund. You can now invest in AAA rated public sector bonds with just 1,000 rupees.
Namaste, Sat Sri Akal and Adab. This is your host and host, Mr. Sunil Javeri, also known as Mr. Bond in the mutual fund industry. Welcome to this show, Bond with Mr. Bond for Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund. This is a one-stop shop investment solutions for all needs of any investor. First and foremost, let me explain to you what does Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund do and invest in. As we know, there are two asset classes, equity and debt. Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund only invests in debt papers of AAA rated public sector undertaking bonds. Investors have two options, a 3-year option and a 10-year option. You have two choices, either to invest through demat account if you have one, through the exchange traded fund. If not, then the fund of fund structure, and you can invest directly with Edelweiss Mutual Fund. Today we have a very interesting guest who's been a corporate trainer for a number of years. Let me welcome Nirja Soni to this show. Welcome, Nirja.
Hi, Mr. Bond. How are you?
Great. So what's the question on Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund?
Thank you, Mr. Bond. So I would like to know what are the different ways in which we can invest in Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund. I have seen a couple of your videos on need solution based strategies. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. We have been only talking about equity as an asset class when it comes to meeting long-term goals of the investors.
Sure.
Why not debt? Because debt is a part and parcel of any investor's portfolio. So if you look at Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund, especially the 10-year product, you can use it to fulfill the needs of your education of your kids, the marriage of your kids, and maybe your own retirement planning also. So please look at Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund along with equity mutual funds or equity investments which you may have for fulfilling your long-term goals.
Okay. So I have been following an asset allocation strategy in which we increase and decrease debts. But I would like to know from you which is the ideal strategy and how can I mix and match my portfolio?
So where does Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund fit into a asset allocation strategy is the question which you're asking me.
Yeah.
You must understand that when you're following asset allocation strategy, when one asset class, let's assume it's equity, is becoming more and more expensive, you reduce the exposure and go into debt and vice versa.
Okay.
So when one asset class is expensive and risky, why would you take unnecessary risk in the other asset class, which is debt?
Yeah.
Many investors have made the mistake of investing in credit risk space even under asset allocation strategy. And for those investors and for you also, I would recommend under asset allocation strategy, invest in Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund as a passive strategy. Let that money remain for the next 10 years or so, and whatever needs to be done in terms of increase or decrease of equity allocation based on your your strategy, do that on the equity side. Why would you do that on the debt side?
Actually, yes.
Yes.
Makes sense.
So it makes a lot of sense for us to be in a no credit risk space on the debt side, because one asset class is already riskier, which is equity as an asset class.
Right.
So, as I said, treat Edelweiss Bharat Bond Fund for different needs and solutions to those needs. Then you will be having a better buy-in as far as your requirements are concerned, and you will stay for longer periods of time because you understood why you have invested in this product.
Right. That actually clarifies a lot of things for me. Thank you so much, Mr. Bond.
Thank you. This is your host and host, Mr. Bond, signing off from Bond with Mr. Bond for Edelweiss Bharat Bond. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.